Okay, so last episode we created the UI components for a Mint NFT application. As you can see, we will run the application, and there you go. We can add NFTs. We can drag and drop images, and here we are at this point. We can basically create all the main information for each NFT in the collection. We can specify the name, a description, a quantity, or we can specify the image. Okay, so in this episode we will create an API. This API will basically allow us to upload the images to the backend. We'll create a backend, and we will upload the images and the files necessary, the metadata files for the NFTs, to Nft Storage. Nft Storage is an online service that allows to um, upload images and files to an NFT storage using Filecoin. Um, this is the website. This is storage, and this is what we're going to use to store our images and NFTs. So we don't have to provide a backend, like a live backend. All the files will be stored here, right? Okay, so we will first add the dependencies, then we will add the backend route in NextJS. Then we will change the UI to upload the images and the files and the information. And in the backend, we will upload those images and those files, those metadata files to Nft storage. Okay, let's start by adding dependencies to our project. The dependencies that we need to add are Axios, because we need to, it's an HTTP client, we need to be able to connect from the front end to the back end. For that, we will be using Axios. Some other alternatives are available, like Fetch, but we want to be able to show a progress bar because we are uploading files, and Axios has a good support for progress. So we will be using Axios. We will be using NextConnect. NextConnect is a library that allows to create API endpoints on Next using some better APIs. So we were using NextConnect. To be able to process uploads, we will use Multer. Multer is another library, is a Node.js library that we can use to basically process these multi-file uploads. And we will install also Nft Storage. So Nft Storage has its own JavaScript library, so we will use that in our project. Great, it's all installed. Okay, so now let's move on to create the API endpoint. For the API endpoint, we will create a file on the pages. First, we will create a folder, API, and inside that folder, we will create our upload endpoint. Now, this is an upload. This endpoint we will write it with TypeScript, so the extension will be TypeScript. And in here, we will create. First, we will import NextConnect. Because this is what we're going to do. And we can specify, when we're creating NextConnect, we can specify the typings for the request and response. Since this is NextJS, we can use the typing for NextJS. So Next API request and Next API response. And we can also specify what happens if we have an error. And for that, we will say we'll just return the error. Now, we will need to use Molter. So for Molter, we have to import Molter. And we need to create a Molter upload middleware. I guess that's the correct word. So let's call it upload. Now in this middleware, one of the things that we can specify is the storage. So for now, we will use the memory storage. Right? And we will ask this upload API to use that middleware. Now, since we are going to be uploading several files, we need to be able to specify arrays of files. So instead of single, we say, well, this will reserve in the files property in the request. So Molter will basically parse our file uploads, and it will add a files property to the request with all the files. This is compatible with what other frameworks do, like Express or maybe Python. Even Flask does the same thing, right? And we have that, and then we can do also post. Request and response, and we are going to process the request here. Now for the requests, we will need to get the access to the files, and the files will come up in the in here. I don't need this. This is just autocomplete code from Pilot. I don't need that. And this, but this is giving me like a TypeScript error. This is because the original API request doesn't have files. So we need to basically modify this a little bit. I'll call it any for now. I honestly don't know what's the correct typing for this. We can take a look later for this. And this is one of the things that we're going to build. And the other thing is that we want to get the information about NFTs. And for that, we are going to parse in the request to body the NFT property. So we will send a files property and an NFT property in the body. So this will be a multi-part form data request, and we will send the files and we will send the NFTs in a different. Let's call it NFTs as well. Right now, in terms of NFT storage, we need to basically log into NFT storage and create an account. So that's exactly what I'm going to do now. NFT storage. Let's log in, and I will use my email here. Okay, now let's check my account. Okay, so we can paste the link here. This is a magic link authentication, so I get a link in the mail. There you go. And now we can close this page, and now we are authenticated. So we have files, no files, of course, we haven't uploaded anything, and API keys, right? So we don't have any API keys yet, but we will create a new API key to be able to use the NFT storage client in JavaScript. Let's give this a name. This is the AIM NFT app, and this is the NFT. Let's copy this. Oh well, we should. Oh, copy. Good. And now this NFT, we will store it not in the code. We will store this NFT in an environment setting, because remember, this is giving you access to your whole NFT storage service. So I will put this in a .env environment setting, environment file. So when we deploy when we deploy this code base, we need to set the environment setting for the NFT storage. So we will call this NFT storage API key, right? And because this file should not be committed to GitHub, then we have to put this file in the .env file right here. So now this file is not going to be tracked by GitHub. Okay, so we have this set up. Check on the files again. Now, NFT storage, they have their own documentation. You can check their library. Since we are going to be uploading files, you can check here how to, they have documentation for everything. It's pretty cool. We have the JavaScript library here. This is the NFT storage. You can install it, and you can import it like this. Import NFT storage from NFT storage, right? So you can also import file, blob, etc. These are all imports that we will need. So let's do that right now. Okay, we're looking here to import NFT storage and file from the NFT storage. And in our endpoint, we need to create a new NFT storage, but of course we need to specify the token. And this token is basically the API settings, the token that we set in the .env file. So let's put it here. This is process.env NFT storage API key. Okay. Perfect. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to get the CID of this, and we will await NFT storage. We need to store a directory, because remember, it's a collection, so we will store in several files in a single directory. And this is the endpoint that we're going to, this is the API that we're going to use. We just need to give it an array of all the files that we're going to store. And since we already have the files over here, let's uncompress that. So files.map, and the file index. And for that, we will do a new file, and this will be file.buffer, and the name of the file will be image index. Cool. So these will be the images, but we also need to store the NFTs. So, and it's funny how GitHub Pilot is suggesting some of the code. It's kind of like similar to what I was planning to build. It's pretty amazing. This AI for coders is really cool. So this is similar to what I want, except that I want to index it by index, not by name. So it will be something like this, and instead of NFT name, it will be index. Cool. So these are the CIDs. Once you store a directory in NFT storage, you also you can wait for the status. So you can say, well, give me the status of this CID, and once you have that, then you can basically respond that to your endpoint, so with the CID and the status. The CID is essentially the identifier in the IPFS network. So you can use this to basically store your element. Now, there is some things that still we need to fix here, because this data that we are storing, we need to separate. We need to add here something. We need to add we need to add the image reference. So I think it will be safer for now if we don't store the NFTs metadata, just the images, just to try this up. And this will be everything. We can, I think, delete this, or we can comment it. Maybe delete it. Just delete it for now. We don't need it. And this is it. This is our endpoint, right? And this endpoint is returning the CID and the status of the upload, right? Of course, this is the CID of the images. Remember that we still need to do something extra here. Is to let me put it as to do upload NFTs metadata to IPFS using updating the NFT image property. Why we do this in a two-step process is because the NFT metadata has to have a reference to where the image is located. So we need to first upload the images, and once we have that CID for the image, the identifier for where the image are uploaded, then we can upload the metadata, so we can actually update the right to the right image, right? That will be pretty much everything that we need in terms of the API for now. And let's work on well, we're missing a little bit thing here. We need to export this API, this upload API. Oops. And the other thing is that if we want to avoid the NextJS API body parser, because we are doing a multi-file upload, we will need to export a config. And this config will have a setting saying, well, for this API, body parser is false. It should be false, because we don't want the default NextJS body parser. We want to parse the files ourselves, because we're doing a file upload. Okay, so we have our endpoint working. Well, part of it, we still need to do this part over here, but at least the file upload is complete. Okay, and it's also uploading the images to NFT storage. So let's check right now, how can we modify the UI to send the images. Okay, our API is in place, at least a part of the API that allows us to upload files and store them on NFT storage. Now we will modify the UI to process that file upload to send all the information to the backend. That process starts here in the index page. The index page has the top bar, and the top bar is the one that has the mint button, right? So this mint button that you can see here is on the top bar component. So we will need to modify this top bar component to be able to handle the click on the mint button. So the mint button is going to be the one that will start the whole process, first by uploading the information of an NFT collection to the backend. And once the backend responds with the the correct information, the CIDs, etc., then we can go and perform the minting part in Ethereum. So for now, we will focus on uploading the files in this episode. So we will modify this top bar to basically respond to the on-click on the mint, and to also have a progress bar on the top. So when we are uploading the files, depending how many files we will want to show some visual progress on how the upload is going. So we will modify this to have like a progress bar on top. So this is the first change that we will do on the top bar component. Let me then go to the top bar component. Here it is. And we will need to modify the top bar component first to add some properties. So we will need to add an interface, because so far our top bar component doesn't take properties. So we will do interface top bar props, and we will add onMint. It will be a function, and we will add is minting. So this will be a boolean. Is minting will help me to change the button from a regular button to a loading state, so we can avoid double clicking on the button. And we also will put a progress bar here. So progress will be, let's say, two numbers. The first one will be the total, and the second one is the current, right? So that's what a progress bar essentially looks like. And let me add this interface here. So this will be top bar props, and now we can set onMint, is minting, and progress. Okay, so the on click of the button will be onMint. The is loading property of the button will be is minting. And we will add a progress bar here. So progress is a component in Chakra. Let's find it. Progress. This is a progress bar in Chakra. And it's basically a bar that has some properties and allows to have like a progress bar. It could be indeterminate, but we know we can do it with actual values. So let's use that progress bar in Chakra. So let's add progress here, and we need to change this the way we are creating this. So instead of a single button, let's create a flex here, direction row. Interesting. And let's do flex here. So we have the button, and let's create another box for the progress bar. So the progress bar will be size small. Oh, actually, real cool. So the minimum will be 0. Okay, so we have our changes in the top bar. Let's see how those changes look like. Top bar. So let's see the onMint. We call handle mint. Is minting. Let's call it false for now, and then progress, and that will be total 0, and current will be 0. We only need to provide a handle min function, so let's call here handle min. And for now, this function won't do anything. Let's just show an alert to start minting. Of course, we will change this later to something else, but we want to just check how this top bar component looks like. Let's see how the component looks like. And it looks exactly the same because we just added a progress bar. Oh, by the way, the progress bar, I'm not seeing the progress bar. Let's change some of the properties in the component. Let's say we call it minting true. Let's see if that changes the state of the top bar. Is this application running either? Oh yes, it's running, but I don't think it's updated. It's updated. Oh, there you go. So now it's in the minting state, so it will show like a loading state button. What I don't see is the progress bar. Let me see if the progress bar is there. So let's see if we total is 1,000 and the current is 500. That should show halfway bar. No, I think we need to change. We need to change the styling here somehow. Oh, I think I need to put a flex here. Let's see. Yes, there we go. So here's our bar. Good. Okay. So of course this progress bar should only be shown if we are minting. So we will conditionally render it. So we will only show the progress bar when we are minting, right? So in this case, we are minting, the progress bar is shown, but if we change the values to is minted false, then we will not see the progress bar. It's time now to implement the API call to the backend that will send all the images and NFT information, and we will do that on the index page. Now for this API call, we will need some state management option. So the first one is minting, so we will create this is minting, and the second one will be progress. We need a progress. By the way, all this code is being auto-generated by GitHub Pilot. It's pretty amazing. That's writing exactly what I need. I will use a toast from Chakra. So use toads. Toads are messages. In this message, we can show information about if there was an error or it was successful. We can use toads for that. And let's create the handle me function. So in the handle me function, instead of alert, this is the handle me function. The first thing that we will do is to set the is minting to true, and then we will create a form data object. This form data object is the one that will contain all the images. So what we will going to do here is to say, well, all the elements for each, and we will append form data, and we will append the files. So in the files property, we will append the image. So will be the new blob, and in here we will append the element image. So the file image will be appended. Let's fix this formatting over here. So this is the blob, and then we can remove that here. There you go. Okay, so we are appending all the images, and then we will append the NFTs. So for that, we'll say form data dot append NFTs, and the NFTs will append the stringify of elements. But from elements, we will remove the image property. So let's map this to basically call the sock of image on the element. So this sock, by the way, this sock is a functional programming. It's a function from the Randa functional programming library. Let me see if I already have Randa installed. So Randa is already installed. So that means that we can add the sock here. And from the documentation of the sock, you can see that it's basically removing a property from an object, right? So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to remove the image property from that object, and that's the form data. Is the NFT data, right? All the NFT data except for the images. Cool. So now we can call Axios. So let's await this Axios post, and we will be posting to our API upload endpoint. What we want to be sending is the form data, and one of the options that we want to set here. Oh, we need to import Axios. Oops. So we want to import Axios. One of the parameters that we want to modify here is the headers, because we will be sending this with the content type multipart form data. The other thing that we're going to modify here is the onload progress, and this will be a function handle progress that we will create later. This function will take the progress and it will set the state that we already have. It will update the state, right? Actually, we can create this function right here. We don't have to create another function. I think this is just an event that has the progress, and we can call here set progress, and we can set it to that event loading, event total. There you go. That's our upload progress. Now, once we get the response, we will have the CID. For now, we will just do a simple thing. We will alert with the CID, so we will alert with this JSON stringify of the data, right? If an error happens, so we will catch that exception, and we will make a toast with the exception, like this, right? So this is pretty much what we need to do. So we say, oh, we still need something else at the end. This we call finally, and in the finally we said set minting is full and set progress, and we clear the progress, right? So check what we're doing with the mint. We set the mint into true. That means that the loading state of the button will be shown. We create a form data. Form data is a JavaScript API. It's native to the browsers to be able to send form data to a backend. We are appending all the files as blobs. Okay, the function is complete. We're sending all the information, and this should be ready to work. Let's see. So let's add an NFT. Let's send an image. Call it Chicago from the Willis Tower 1, and let's do mint. Oh, there you go. We have a CID. That's work, but I didn't see the progress here. So let's check what happened there. By the way, at this point, since we have a CID, that means that we probably have an image in the storage. So let's see. And here is, let's check what image this is. And here is our image. Let's check it. There you go. We store the image on Nft Storage. Cool, this is working. The only thing that I didn't see was the progress. So let's check what's happening with the progress. So this is doing total, event loaded. Oh, because we have this hard coded. So we is minting, and instead of hard coded progress, we need to set progress here. Okay, so let's see how it's working now. So let's delete this. Let's delete a couple of NFTs. Dropping images all over. And let's say this is Chicago Heights from the Willis Tower. Well, descriptions are not really necessary right now because I am not storing the descriptions anywhere. So let's put just Chicago. And let's mint this. So mint for now is just uploading the image to NFT storage. And the progress is not showing anything. There you go. We have a good. So let's see the files. I guess this is the file. Let's see. There we go. We have two images. So the upload portion of our API is working. And now we're just missing the updating the metadata, right? So the easiest, I would say the easiest metadata that we can send for an NFT. So we know the CID of the images. So now we need to, so this will be image CID. And now we need to send another set of files with the NFT information. So this will be this will be the actual CID. And we are storing a directory too. By the way, I think we can simplify this like this, okay? A lot simpler. And in here we can get the, so we need to get the NFTs. So NFTs equals JSON parse of request body NFTs. So we can do NFTs map, and we will map this to a file, new file. And then okay, we can do image status. And we have another status here for the CID. Oh, wait, the file needs information inside. So we will store JSON stringify of NFTs, and we will store it with the index number. So it will be just the index. Well, let's put an NFT dash index. Now, this NFT is just name, description, and quantity. But that's not actually the way we want to sort because that's not the official metadata. So let's call here ERC155 metadata of an NFT. and we need to pass the CID of the image as well. So let's pass here image CID. So we need to build this function, and this function, let's create it here. This function will take the NFT data and will take an CID, or the image CID. And this is a string. And we will return the NFT metadata. So the NFT metadata has a name, it has a description, and it has an image. And the image, we need to check. So we have the image CID. We will need to check what are the supported images format for OpenSea. That's the, and let's Google that. I mean, we can, here in the documentation, I think we have this metadata standards, and okay, it's the schema. And so we have the name, decimals, we don't need that, the image, and properties. So we are not supporting properties, we are only supporting image. Let's see what are the type of images that we can use. And I think we have to Google if OpenSea supports the IPFS images. So the image could be stored in a regular website. It can be an IPFS URLs or path. Okay, perfect. That's all we need to know. And it's good. That means that we can actually use IPFS. So I guess we need to pass the index because everything depends on the index here. So the image URL will be IPFS / image at index. And this is the metadata for now that we will support. And so we have the name, the description, and the image, and the quantity. So, well, the quantity is not stored in the metadata. The quantity is stored in the contract itself. So we don't need to put quantity here, and we only need to pass the index here. There you go. So we are storing, we can read what this to do. We're storing all the files for the indexes, and then we're waiting for that status. So we are return this. So now this is our upload endpoint. Let's try. So at this point, our upload endpoint should upload the images to IPFS using Nft Storage, and it should also upload the NFT metadata, right? The one that our contract will link to. So let's try and let's check our application is going to work now. So let's add a couple of NFTs, copy these images. So this is Chicago 1. This is Chicago. It's called Chicago Heights from the Willis Tower. And this is the Chicago Theater. Okay, so we have 2 images for NFTs and we have the descriptions. Let's do a mint. So loaded images and we got our response. And our response includes the CID of the images and the CID of the NFT metadata. Okay, so we can check now on Nft Storage. Let's check the files. And we have one CID here, and we have here the NFTs. So let's check these NFT. This is the first NFT. And you can see here, this is the Chicago Heights, Chicago from the Willis Tower. And it's showing me the image as a link to the image. I'm not sure that this link is supported by Firefox, but let's try it. Of course, that didn't work. Let's copy the ID and let's try it on the IPFS network. fs/image0. That was the full link. And there's the image. So the link is actually linking the right image. It's just that my browser doesn't support IPFS URLs. It's probably an extension that helps you do that, but I would not be doing that right now. So right now, our endpoint supports uploading the image and then uploading the image and the metadata to Nft Storage. That will be all for this episode. In the next episode, we will be creating a smart contract using ERC 1155. For that, we'll be using Hardhat and TypeScript, so that's a good thing. And up to now, we have an API that has a UI and it has a backend to upload NFTs to Nft Storage usando IPFS. That will be all for tonight. See you on the next episode.